there are a lot of concerned people out there because of Pittsburgh media outlets going hard on this Brandon Ayuk / maybe Deebo Samuel rumor. But San Francisco 49ers fans, in today's video, I'm going to tell you what they got wrong and why the 49ers are in the perfect position heading into the 2024 season. If you're new here, I'm Nate, and we are talking the San Francisco 49ers. It really does help me out if you would consider hitting that subscribe button. Well, San Francisco 49ers wide receiver WR1 Brandon Ayuk and potentially Deebo Samuel, bit of a weird one, has been linked with a trade to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm sure by now in the weekend, you already knew that. This is probably not news to you. Initially, it kind of freaked me out. And I want to be clear here. Technically, this is a rumor, quote unquote. I'm not actually sure this qualifies for a rumor. It sort of feels more like Pittsburgh Steelers fans kind of saying what they think is going to happen and Pittsburgh reporters saying what they think might happen and kind of how things might go. That's not really the same as a rumor, but I'm going to treat it as a rumor since that's how it's been labeled, let's say. And initially, when my brother-in-law sent me this exact tweet you're seeing on the screen here, it did kind of freak me out a little bit. I thought about it and I was like, man, at this point in the offseason, you don't want to see this kind of trade take place. Personally, I don't want to see this kind of trade take place because we got around to the idea of accepting we're going to lose one of these two guys this offseason. A few months ago, it just seemed like a done deal that one of these two guys is going to be gone. But a lot of that was kind of around the draft. If we lose one of these guys, get a first-round draft pick, and it can improve our offensive line or improve somewhere else on the field in a massive way, maybe it's worth it. And I would accept that as a reality that we might have to face. And at some point, we are going to lose one of these two guys. That's a reality. So we started to get okay with the idea, but then at the end of the first round, you have John Lynch going out there and saying, we're not trading him. And then again, he doubles down after the draft saying they're not trade material. We're not trading them. And I know general managers can say that, and it doesn't necessarily always mean that they're not interested or open to trading them. But in this case, I believe John Lynch. I believe what the original plan was to try and trade for a top 5, top 10 draft pick of this year's draft. Meaning, why would you trade him now if what you're going to get is a future draft pick or maybe somebody else who kind of fills a different gap? But I don't know. I just don't like the situation as it plays out now versus how it would have played out a couple months ago. The news, of course, has been nerve-wracking for many 49ers fans because there are some real downsides to trading a guy like Brandon Ayuk. It could affect confidence in what this team is building. It could, Ayuk, of course, is the guy. And keeping him on the roster definitely increases your chances of going out there and putting another run together. Losing him now for like a future draft pick would just be really disappointing. Well, a great article by David Bonilla, however, suggests that folks are kind of missing the point. And later in the video, by the way, I have something else that I will add that will give you even more confidence. I'm excited to talk about as well. But first, let's get to David Bonilla's article. So obviously, Steelers reporter still predicts trade for 49ers receiver. This is about an hour ago that this post came out. I think Ayuk or Samuel, Fittipaldo stated on Pittsburgh radio. Given what the 49ers have done, drafting Ricky Pearsall in the first round, signing Jawan Jennings, I think there's another shoe to drop out there in San Francisco. They have too many good receivers, and they're not going to be able to pay all of them. That's what he said. Unfortunately, this is now David Bonilla talking here. Unfortunately for Steelers fans, Fittipaldo's logic is flawed. The 49ers are financially capable of retaining their receiver depth, at least for the upcoming season. According to OverTheCap.com's most recent estimates, the team currently has approximately $25.25 million in salary cap space. This amount is expected to increase when they extend Ayuk's contract, lowering the current $14.124 million cap hit for 2024. Additionally, the 49ers recently extended wide receiver Jawan Jennings, reducing his 2024 cap hit and securing him through 25. San Francisco is likely done with significant acquisitions this offseason and aims to preserve as much cap space as possible in preparation for next year's negotiations to sign quarterback Brock Purdy. He's going to need a lot of money to do a long-term deal. The financial impact of that deal might not even be felt until 26. The team can also roll over any of this year's unused salary cap space into 2025, as it did with about $38 million per multiple reports from 2023's unused cap space, providing some flexibility this offseason. Really, we always look at the cap for 3 years out. General Manager John Lynch said last season, obviously we have all that room this year, but really it's to create room for future years because we roll everything over. It helps us in future years because it creates some room where we're going to need. While the receiver situation might change next offseason, the 49ers possibly needing to choose between its top two wideouts, a Steelers trade for Ayuk or Samuel this offseason might just be wishful thinking on the part of Pittsburgh area media. Absolutely. Totally agree. Big fan. Thank you, David, for this article. It's awesome. It's awesome. And it's a great perspective and hopefully calms the minds of all of the 49ers fans out there that are concerned and don't want to see Ayuk go. I know there are some out there, many out there, that do want to see him go at some point, and I get that. I don't agree with it, but that's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. In a way, the Pittsburgh Reporter, though, is not totally wrong. You can't pay all of these guys the money that they're due because this is an incredible football team. And so it is fair to accept in some ways he has some merit there. But I do agree with David that he's wrong about this particular moment in time and what the 49ers could actually pull off right now, this particular offseason. But if that didn't get you excited enough, I've got something else I want to show you because this one will help you get even more excited. Since 2002, this is actually not the tweet I was going to show you, but I might as well because I already got it up. Since 2002, every team to beat the 49ers in the playoffs went on to win the Super Bowl, which tells you how great the 49ers have been, besides the 2022 Eagles. I mean, it's just to laugh at, right? Anyway, all right, here's what I wanted to show you. As of today, the San Francisco 49ers currently have the 12th most salary cap space in the entire NFL. Check it out. Look at those numbers. And some of the numbers come in a little bit higher at 25 mil. I'm not going to pretend to know all of the details about how these numbers always shake out. So someone in the comments who knows that kind of stuff, feel free to comment below. But it should put them even closer to top 10. But those teams that are in there, like, pretty wild when you look at, like, the Lions have that much cap space available. But, you know, this list of teams, Patriots, Washington, I mean, it doesn't look like a list of, you know, the top teams in the NFL. It looks like kind of what you'd expect to see in this, outside of a couple unexpected teams maybe. So that being said, look, that kind of flexibility, and you know, I read what David's quote of John Lynch's quote in David's article. That's a better way to say it. I read that out loud. Like, if you're thinking about where the 49ers are right now in terms of cap space and your fear is, can we pay Brandon Ayuk? That's not a concern. We can pay Brandon Ayuk. We 100% can pay Brandon Ayuk. But it's more so, what are the downstream effects of that? If you do it right now, what's going to happen 2 years from now, 3 years from now because of some of those decisions? I don't think it really matters because in the end, most 49ers fans believe that Deebo Samuel's out at the end of next season anyways. And so it would make sense. That trade is going to free up some cap space. I mean, there's just lots of movement that can happen from one season to the next. That always does happen. So I feel like the Brandon Ayuk deal could be done. That Eric Armstead money kind of opening up after today, June 2nd, as I'm recording this, you know, does free up a little bit of cap space there. That's where a lot of that money, I think it was like 17 or 18 million that plays into that 25, right? But in my mind, Brandon Ayuk could be like doing a Juwan Jennings kind of deal where he's in the facility and everyone's like, Brandon Ayuk's here. That must mean good news. And then boom, it's signing day. Awesome. Brandon Ayuk deal gets done. Like, there's a world in which that could happen. Nobody's reporting that. I want to be clear. This is 1,000% just wild speculation from a 49ers fan. But as far as I'm concerned, the deal can get done. It could be done as soon as this week in my mind. You know, someone comment below when you're like, nah, there's no way it's going to happen this week. That's fine. Go ahead. Comment below. I can take it. But I can see a way it happens soon. Maybe not, considering 49ers history is probably going to happen, you know, a little bit later on into the offseason toward training camp time, unfortunately. But it would be awesome if it did happen soon and all of this, you know, nonsense could just go away and we could really just focus on the 2024 season and have no distractions. But listen, I'm really optimistic about where the cap space is at right now for the 49ers to be the you know, technically number 2 team in the NFL, but picked by most to win the NFL or win the Super Bowl this season. So technically number 1 in the NFL. If you're in a number 1 position and you're 10th to 12th in cap space, that's not a bad situation going forward. Absolutely. I'm feeling optimistic about that, as I always am. No one's surprised by that. So, faithful, what a time to be alive.